Welcome in, Magic community. Much love. Trav here with Craig Berry. Craig Berry, really interesting stuff going on. Craig is responsible for some of the buyouts in Moat and LED. We're seeing prices double overnight. And before you villainize him, he's got some really interesting stuff to say. His story is incredible. And if you're into the Magic market at all, if you're young or you don't have a lot of money, we'll have some tips for you. And we're also going to cover what if over the weekend Martin Shkreli of the infamous cancer drug price hike or whatever, what if he enters into Magic with $20 million and buys out the reserve list? What will happen? So that's coming at the end. So first, yeah, Craig, is that a fair introduction? I think we'd like to hear your story. I read a little bit about it. It's really fascinating.
So my name is Craig Berry, as you know. I grew up right outside of Philadelphia, and I was always very lucky because the Magic scene has just always been booming. Our PTQs during the height of things, we'd get 325 person or so PTQs. There's never been like a drought near me in Magic, and there's a decent amount of money like in my area, and there's always been a lot of like trade grinders.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever in my area. So that's how I eventually got into it.
So you
It's funny.
started
So the
off
reason I got,
playing, but then there's the trade grinders.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
one of my good friends now, Andy, I started playing in Darksteel, and this was like when there was no such thing as really the internet.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't buying and selling. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't website. So I opened up this pack of Fifth Dawn, and I was really hoping to get like a Winter Adept or a
Mm-hmm.
Bringer. And I open up this like foil 3 mana artifact that does nothing to me. I'm like, why would you ever want to play
Is
lands from your
it that
graveyard?
which was taken? Oh no, it wasn't.
No.
Uh-huh.
It was Crucible Fails, a
Uh-huh.
foil one.
Ooh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was like, why would everyone
Yeah,
play this?
yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
he's like, hey, I know you like slow bad. You collect the card.
Mm-hmm.
Here, how about you get slow bad and buy you another
Mm-hmm.
pack? I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yo, here's what I want to hear. Here's what people want to hear. You make a
Hmm.
living speculating and buying, selling,
Yes.
it sounds like. I haven't heard of anyone doing that full time. So how did you go? And there's a story of you starting off like borrowing your grandpa's credit card to spec on Bitter
Yeah.
Blossoms, turning like a $1,500 profit, and then using that too. And you've got a kid. It's not just you as well. So
Oh,
so how?
yes.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Tell us about that. It's crazy.
So, when I was in high school, I was making like decent money through Magic.
Mhm.
More than like any high schooler would.
Mhm.
And the first card I really made money off of, like you said, was Bitter Blossom. Um, excuse me. I Then I like always did it casually.
Well, I want to
I
hear
went.
about that that one transaction even. Like, what is it like?
I
Grandpa, this card, look at this card, Grandpa. It's so good. It's priced at
Yeah,
$4. Like, Grandpa, this a bit fairy every turn, right? Like,
yeah. So how it worked, I was like, yeah. This card came out, and it was like Star City Games, MTG Salvation, and I think those are like the only sets really used back then. I mean, it's before Channel Fireball or anything.
mhm,
And I was a big advocate of Magic Workstation.
mhm.
So, as I'm sure many people know, you could play with the cards before they were
Did that,
legal.
of course, yeah.
Yes. So I was like, oh, I want to try out like a rogue deck.
Uh-huh.
Not really berries, but I was like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
card's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So like, I figured out like at worst it was force field.
Mhm.
So I didn't have any money at the time. I was like, hey, Pop. And I was making money before that. What I
Mhm.
would do is I would trade like when I was like 14 years old, I was
Mhm.
like the scummy trader. And I actually don't trade anymore,
Mhm.
like at
Mhm.
all. Because I don't if I did trade, I knew I would want to try and make a profit, and
Mhm.
that's not my goal. I don't want
Uh-huh.
to try and get people.
Sure, yeah, value
So
trading feels bad.
yeah, I hate it. I hate it. If I'm gonna do it, I'd rather just like buy collections or
Uh-huh.
purchase cards.
Sure, yeah.
Um, so I was trading up and I was making money when I was younger.
Mhm.
And I was like, Pop, can I please borrow money? I can't promise that this will work out, but I really think it will. I mean, I could see the card being like $8 or $10. And back then, I felt like if a card was $8 or $10, you would sell for that price.
Mhm.
So eventually, fairies dominated everything,
Mhm.
and I was able to sell them all for like in the $20-ish range.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Wow, that's you're 15, 16 years old."
Yeah, and he
It's
gets
really
his
good.
money back with interest, so your parents are like, keep doing this, right? Like, yeah, you
Yeah,
get the go
exactly.
ahead.
And the nice thing is, I've always had support from my family and my friends,
Mhm.
like no matter what, from that, which definitely helps a lot
Mhm.
because it's a very unique lifestyle.
Yeah, so what
But
how did that go from there? Like, what did you do? Say that you
Mhm.
so did you sell them when they hit, did you do a mass sell after they hit a certain value or
Yeah, yeah. So what I did is, I believe it was between a PTQ one weekend and, for those who remember, regionals, like
Mhm. I
one of the
remember
best ones
regionals.
ever.
Yeah.
They're so great. I sold all the copies back to back weekends, except I sold a few to my friends, and I
Mhm.
kept a, a foil playset for myself. So, uh, so that's after Bitter Blossom. I was like, man, like, that was actually good money, and I was surprised.
Yeah, that's good
I had a
for
lot.
high school. It's great. I mean,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of our
exactly.
listeners would like an extra thousand in their pocket right now, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it started with that, and then I did it a little bit like buying and selling through high school, um, and then I focused more on it when I was like 19 to 21, and then actually took a year, about a 2 year break, a year and a half break, because I just had a daughter, and
Hmm.
I was really just focused all my time on her.
Presumably you did some real work during that time.
No, actually, I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Uh-huh.
So actually, so in
Uh-huh.
2014, I believe 2014,
Hmm.
August, uh, it was the August right before cons came out.
Hmm.
I was presented with an opportunity to buy a collection,
Hmm.
and because I have a daughter, I didn't have
Hmm.
money.
Hmm.
I asked my grandfather for another loan. I asked him for a $5,000
Hmm.
loan. I paid him back with interest.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
And
mean,
since
and
then,
at that point, like you have credit history with him, right? You know, it's not the
exactly,
first
exactly.
time and it's been successful in the past, so it's a good bet
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. And even before that, I have 1,000 rest in peace right now. And wasn't doing a lot of buying and selling, so at the time, Tormod's crypto was $1.50, and I thought rest in peace was just strictly better.
Oh
Rest in
yeah.
peace is very
Oh
good.
yeah. Strictly better.
Link calls, Jun, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I bought 1,000 copies at 70 cents each. Uh, and right now it's sitting at like five. I've had buy list offers to take them all
Hmm.
325 each,
Yeah, so
but I'm really waiting.
that's something I want to ask
It's like,
about. So a lot of people
yeah.
have this concept that this is a pump and dump thing. You know, you buy a bunch of stuff. Well, it sounds like you did that with Bitter Blossom initially. You buy a bunch of
Oh,
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
they hit a certain amount, and then you just dump them, and then you have the profit, and then you go to the next play. But you're not doing that.
Yes,
You bought out LED,
yes.
$20,000. You bought out moats, and
It was another
you're just
20,000.
sitting on wealth. So, well, I mean, what
Yeah.
is people have a hard time wrapping their head around that, right? So, what is
Yeah,
you
it's
don't have
reasonable
to
to.
share the plan if it's gonna like screw you over to
I,
share it, but it's interesting.
oh, no, no. Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in not hiding things. I'd rather just be completely honest. Um, so I just can't imagine a scenario where a card like Moat drops in price. In fact, I can only see it going up. And my bankroll is relatively strong, so I feel like it'd be foolish for me to sell a card like Moat
Mhm.
right now, if I thought it was only going to continue to go up. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
see why the card can't be like
Mhm.
$800,
Mhm.
especially. I don't know if you saw Jolis at 5.0 today.
I
I
didn't.
was pretty stoked.
I don't really follow
So
Legacy. But you were saying,
it,
by the way, this is where people are like, "Oh my God, the price doubled." It's like miracles. It's like if you're complaining, you were not gonna buy Moat anyways, right? The miracles
yeah,
went from
yeah, that's
2,500 to 2,800. What the fuck ever?
yeah. Oh
You
my God.
guys have everyone who has
Yeah.
that deck has so much money. You have money if you're buying that deck. It's not a big deal. I
I've
mean,
also seen like the people complain about it. It's like, oh my god, I can't afford moats now, but I have these foil Mercadian Mass brainstorms that are $150.
yeah, well, there's the other people who have the moats, and they're like, "Thank you, Craig Berry." Right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's funny. I've received like I think like 400 messages in the last 72 hours on Facebook, um, or close to, and I'd say about 90-95% of them are just, "Hey, I think it's really cool that I think it's amazing what you do. Um, it's really cool that you're public
Mm-hmm.
about it. You don't like hide in the shade or
Uh-huh.
anything about it."
Yeah.
The other 5% is like, "Oh, you're the biggest scumbag in the
Cancer,
world." But
Hitler, evil,
yeah,
evil. Yeah.
yeah,
I hope we don't get too much of that on this channel.
yeah. I can't
But
think about it.
I mean, yeah, it's capitalism, right? Like the system, if you were breaking the rules of the system, then sure, but like if there's
Yeah,
an incentives in a system, why would we not expect people
yeah.
to, to
Just
take advantage of opportunity, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, people. I mean, it's just normal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people possess greed, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
human nature. I just I guess I mean I'm
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'd be lying if I said I wasn't greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh well, I mean, obviously you have
and
self-interest, but you're a biological life form, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Um,
Um,
this just came to me. I want to talk about tips for someone new to the market, and I want to
yeah,
end on what if Martin Shkreli. But I had a thought, like, uh, I mean, I've looked at it. Some of you have read my ebook, and I have one little chapter on there, and it shows Black Lotus superimposed next to player growth, and it's like up, 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 right? Is there a possibility of a bubble? I mean, I was really thinking, I couldn't say 100% sure everything will go up forever. It just seems like nothing ever
it
works that
doesn't
way.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
What
It's
would
not the Dow
cause the
Jones.
bubble to burst if there was, if that were, would it be a collapse of the player base?
So, right, in 2010, 2011, Underground Sea was like $80.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone, like people would say, like, "Oh, there's no chance. People will stand for Delane being $100."
Mm-hmm. And it's
And I was a firm
350, right?
believer I was a firm believer that back then, like, that's true. I mean, there's just gonna be a bubble, and
Uh-huh.
then 150, and then 250, and then 350.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that has me so confident about the market is Eldrazi Temple was a rare in Rise of Eldrazi,
Mm-hmm.
so no play,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was reprinted as an uncommon in Modern Masters 2
Mm-hmm.
1 year ago
Mm-hmm.
in a set that had 3 GPs that totaled
Mm-hmm.
like 17,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were just a ton open. People bought the
Mm-hmm.
boxes. There were
Mm-hmm.
a ton of the market, and it was an uncommon. And then it was $8.
I know, that's
Granted, it was
insanity.
yeah, it's like it was an uncommon that was reprinted.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I guess for me, what I see is the threat would be the player base collapsing, which seems pretty unlikely. Like it's so ingrained. There's nothing like Magic that for Grand Prix,
it's just the best game. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the best game.
it's the best like lifestyle game. That's a
Yeah,
fairly healthy
exactly.
thing to do. It got the gamers out of the basement in the 80s, into the card store in the 90s, and then into the road in the 2000s. Like it's really been a seismic shift for gaming.
So, so here's a little thing
Hmm.
about me. So, uh, when I was growing up, I had very, very, very bad Tourette syndrome. Not many people know that. I guess
You had what
I've never like
syndrome?
talked Tourette's
Oh
Tourette
yeah.
syndrome, and I was bullied a lot for it. I was bullied so bad that I missed all of seventh grade and half of eighth grade,
Hmm.
and I had to go to an alternative school after that because I was truant.
Hmm.
And throughout all of this, I mean, I had no friends in school because I wasn't in school. I didn't have many
Hmm.
friends. So throughout all of this, one thing I had was a card store.
Hmm.
Uh, I was no matter what I had wrong with me, uh, we all spoke the same language, which was magic. And I think it's really important that, like what you said, brought people out of the house. Magic does just help a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um, Always helped me a ton. Like
Hmm.
even now, like I'm not on any medication. I'm a firm
Hmm.
believer in mind over matter.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely, definitely. Well, I'm not like anti-science, but if you
Yeah, yeah.
can not be on meds, that's probably better.
I couldn't
If
agree more.
if you can.
Mhm.
Um, Somewhat outside of the scope of this conversation. So, I mean, what else about your story? I mean, you got a lot of attention because you bought out LEDs and moats, and I mean, have there
Yeah.
been like there's been plays in between the Bitter Blossom and then obviously. So,
All right. So yeah, I guess it started. Excuse me. I guess trying to think of the first buyout I did. Um. Uh. So I want to say 3 years ago, before
mm-hmm,
I was buying stock,
mm-hmm,
I Owen, I think he top aided a GP or top
mm-hmm,
16 GP, big surprise.
mm-hmm,
He was playing Splinter Twin. It was when Birthing Pod was in the format,
mm-hmm.
and I made a short video on Facebook and a post saying, "Hey, I think Twisted Image should be worth more than it is." It was 9 cents at the time. Uh,
Sure, it should be.
yeah, it was an uncommon,
Uh-huh.
and it
Oh
was
yeah.
playable modern.
Uh-huh.
It was playable modern. All that matters is that it was playable modern.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I bought 600 Twisted Images,
How do you do that?
and
I mean, how do you avoid the transaction costs? Because a lot of these sites limit to four, right? Does TCG
yes.
and CFB
So what I
and SCG not do this?
so on TCG Player doesn't, and I buy almost all of my cards on TCG Player or
Mm-hmm.
Star City games. Neither of them do. Uh,
I see. So you
what I
can
do,
literally just they say 100 and like 500 available, and you just type in 500, and for nine
yeah,
cents,
yeah,
it's like pennies, like bang.
yeah, exactly. So what happened was 2 weeks later, Birthing Pod got banned,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't good for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still firm. I was still pretty happy about my investment of Twist Image. I mean, I was in it for it was basically nothing. It may have been $0. And Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, stuff like that can only get
Mm-hmm.
better in the modern.
Yeah.
Uh, Long story short, I sold them. I sold all of them to a French dealer at Grand
Uh-huh.
Prix Charlotte for a
Uh-huh.
dollar each,
Uh-huh.
about a month and a half.
Wow. So that's the majority of the work, I imagine. I'm trying to imagine how it works because you said, I read in the article, you said you work 14, 15 hours a day, you grind. A lot of that is just if you're buying like it's not easy to unload 600 twisted image, right? You have to contact people
Yeah,
and
exactly,
make
exactly.
deals, right? So is
Yeah,
that like the
I'm
majority of the
I'm
work in this?
very I'm very good at networking. I think that's my strongest part. Um, but so another card that I didn't buy out. I'm really good at, I think, finding trends
Mm-hmm.
and just like whatever like the new it girl is attacking it. So when Tiny Leaders was first announced as a
Mm-hmm.
format, I looked into the different generals and I was like, all right, well, this is good, this is good, this is good. Sig River Guide, the blue black one, that was already expensive as a foil
Mm-hmm.
because of EDH,
Mm-hmm.
but Azuri Renegade Leader wasn't. And
Ooh.
so what I did is I bought out foil Azuri, and I bought them at $4 each. It was
Mm-hmm.
like 450. I have it on my spreadsheet. I forget what
Mm-hmm.
it is. I think it was like 450 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to unload all of them for 13 each.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I'm much better at this than actually other people. I'm just I spend more time on it, and I'm not as afraid to just attack
Mm-hmm.
and just
Mm-hmm.
buy when I have to. A lot of people are afraid to spend money, and
Definitely. I can, yeah, so let's talk about afraid to spend money. Have you had any investments where, you buy $2,000 of birthing pods and then it gets banned? Have you had anything like that happen to you?
so it's crazy. I haven't had one bad
Really?
buy. Yeah, yeah.
Is it going to happen or are you a savant at this?
No, no, it has to happen. I'm trying. Maybe I've had one. I'm a big fan of buying high quantity of penny stocks
Mm-hmm.
for a long term.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had like 1,000 Delver of Secrets because people would leave them on the table at
Yeah,
draft,
yeah.
and I pick them up afterwards. I have 1,200 Gurmag anglers right now.
So you have this massive, like, do you have a bunker or like, I mean, do you have home
Oh yeah,
security? You've got to have home security for this. Yeah.
yeah, I have multiple 5 row boxes. Um, some of the investments I'm in right now I'm big on Gurmag Angler as like a 4 or 5 year plan. It's like a 5 year.
quote, I'm big on Gurmak Angler as a 4 to 5 year plan.
I think it'll follow a trend as like other commons in Legacy, um, and even modern. And I'm also
So
big
that's the
on.
thing is, it seems so hard to unload those. I mean,
Yeah, so what now that there's so many dealers in Magic, uh I it's easier than it sounds because you can
mm-hmm,
offload it like 50 to say 6 dealers each at a GP.
mm-hmm.
At the next stage, offload more stuff like that. So it's on commons and uncommons, it's easier than it sounds. Also on
Mm-hmm.
playable mythics.
I
Like
see.
voice source I had a bunch of and I had no
Uh-huh.
problem on.
Well, that one's gonna be easy. I'm imagining like 6,000 Gurmag anglers might be a little bit harder. Um,
Yeah. And
uh,
like the thing about those, the
mm-hmm.
investment is so little that I don't have to. It's not like I have a lot of money tied up in them. So even if it takes me 2 years to move them all, uh, it's worth it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, so it takes, I mean, you went from at the beginning, like you literally have to sell them to like get out of credit card debt or whatever,
Yeah,
repay loans. But
yeah.
you've transitioned where you're amassing wealth, right? So how does that work? Like you hold a certain percentage and you sell a
I,
certain percentage.
yeah, so I guess I'm a firm believer in I'm never in debt. I never want to have to um, I never want to have a massive credit card bill at the end
Mm-hmm.
of a month. I have to pay it off. I make sure I'm never in debt. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure every purchase that I make and I can afford. I know there's a lot of people saying like I just get spoiled by my family, and that's literally the furthest thing from the truth.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather helped me out, but I paid it back with interest.
Uh-huh. Sure, yeah.
I don't
I
have to
started
get
with a
them.
small $1 million loan from my father. That's a Donald Trump quote.
Yeah, yeah,
But in
yeah,
your case, $1,000. I mean,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
a lot of people,
Um,
you can be poor and you might be able to get $1,000 loan if you can show them that
yeah,
there's a good
exactly.
chance it comes back.
So I'm a big fan of never being in debt. Um, yeah, I I'm sorry. What were you saying before?
So you went from just selling it all to like you were amassing more and more and planning for longer
Oh,
term. I'm
about wealth.
curious a little bit
About
about
wealth.
your system of like I keep this percentage and I sell off this percentage or how that works. Because obviously like you want to have some cash flow from this, right? So
Yeah,
how
yeah,
does
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
But you don't want to like ruin your long-term investment. So how do you balance that?
So I make sure uh, I never go less than the cash flow that I'm comfortable with. I'd rather not share that number,
That's fine.
um,
Yeah.
but it's enough. I make sure never go below like if someone comes to me with a very large collection,
Mhm.
I like have to buy.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm able to.
Mhm.
Um, and I the other thing I do is all my investments. I look at that long term, and so a lot of times people come to me and sell collections because I actually pay very good numbers. I pay like 70, 80% of retail on a lot of things.
Mhm.
Uh, and what I do is when I buy those collections, any of the cards that I'm spending on, I pull out, and everything else I flip immediately. I like hate having I hate having uh I hate being I hate having a sweet trade binder.
You hate that.
If Yeah, yeah, yeah. As weird as it sounds, I'd much rather just be invest in assets. I don't want to have a bunch of assets that just look cool, even though they're just those cards I want to turn into cash as quick as possible when I buy
Mhm.
a collection.
Mhm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, with when it comes to like when to sell and things like that, so I was invested, so I'm invested in 1,000 rest in peace. I could have sold for three and a quarter, like I said before, to like
Mhm.
kind of hedge,
Mhm.
but a lot of my things just go. I trust my gut a lot, and I have a
Mhm.
big gut, so it helps. And I never, I've lost out before because I was afraid that.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's every printer it's going to drop in price. But now, like I
Uh-huh.
have, so when I can sell my rest in peace for $5 for $5, like $5, 5.25 each.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I'll sell it.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like
I see. So
$10.
you have a set number. Obviously
Yeah,
it's a lot like investing in stocks or in currencies, but
yeah,
what's interesting, and I'm not at all an expert in this, but I'm into markets, and I came to a similar conclusion as you. I read in that interview that maybe you eventually want to be in that other market, but it's like the stock market is so volatile, currency is so volatile. Like
yeah. Also, like
reserved list is unregulated reserved list market is like a joke, right? It's like so.
yeah,
Where in the world does this exist
it's
anywhere?
it's literal free money. It's
Well, it costs
um,
money to make money in this case.
or yeah, yeah, it does cost money. But I mean, like
It's very safe.
it's
It
it's a very
has
safe
been very
investment.
safe.
And the other, yeah, at least it has been.
Hmm.
I think it will continue. The other
Hmm.
thing is like, I think the people, th I think the thing people forget about Magic is at the end of the day, it's a card game that people love. Like
Hmm.
in 2008, when the economy crashed and it was horrible, you look at all of these businesses that failed, baseball card stores,
Hmm.
sports card stores, hobby shops, stuff like that.
Hmm.
If you look, the one thing that stayed strong was Magic. And
It
it's
actually,
because
that's when it came out of the affinity slump and hit its growth spurt.
that's when it,
It's a games. Well, I mean, you probably know this, but games are considered to be recession proof because
yes,
they are over time a cheaper investment than like movies, other forms of entertainment. So
they have a high return also.
when the economy goes bad, like games do well actually. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so I guess I would eventually like to get in. I have a couple friends who trade, and I I guess I would like to get into day trading. I think the thought of it is nicer than the execution. I've been reading a lot of books. Um, I'm a big fan of reading articles, listening
mhm.
to videos of different entrepreneurs
Mhm.
to get better to get better buying and selling through magic because the things that they apply to their
There's
business.
parallels.
Exactly. And the one thing that like all the entrepreneurs that I listen to,
Mhm.
there's one guy. My favorite one is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, I know Gary V, of course.
Yeah,
Of
yeah, Gary,
course.
man,
You gotta follow
yeah,
Gary V. You gotta hit C first on his posts on Facebook.
yep, yep. I've got a lot, a couple, or not a lot, but a couple of my vendor friends, my friends who vend at GPs, the
Hmm.
Gary V, because they're like, and he has such passion and he grinds so hard, and he's
Yes.
actually helped me a lot. His videos become better at buying and selling and
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
I paid money for his branding class, and I bought two of his books on social media strategy. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. I have
yeah.
I have here. I'll be right back in a second.
Hmm.
Okay, is that fine?
Um, sure. What is a second? Okay. Well, I'll see if it's a second. We might need to edit the video, which I didn't want to do. Um, because that takes time. I'll just monologue at this point. Or not. Okay. I was gonna make a point.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I
If
just
anyone ever,
Go
what'd you
ahead.
say?
Just rambled. I was gonna make the point that just because you were gone, I'm not gonna edit this video. For me, and this is for my audience,
Oh, okay.
not for you. YouTubing for me
Yeah.
is a lifestyle. I don't want to spend hours editing.
Okay.
That sucks. I like to,
Sure.
yeah, provide high
The-
qual. My stuff isn't the best quality in terms of always in terms of equipment and editing. I generally don't edit, but I try to
I
bring on
think people
interesting
appreciate
people.
that though.
Huh?
I, I think people appreciate that though.
Some people do, some people don't, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
different
There's
styles.
always.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is, if you ever want to get better at like buying and selling or understand social media, this is just the best book ever.
Jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah, it's by Gary Vee.
The one thing is it's
Uh,
like it was kind of speculative on Snapchat and it doesn't have the full Snapchat strategy in there, but otherwise,
yeah, yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
mean,
and now he's all about that.
it,
That's
that,
the one oh that's one.
uh-huh. By the way, that
Oh,
book
what
is
were you?
good now. In 2 years, I don't know. Like it's too.
Yeah,
I mean, even right now, it's like getting a little old because social media evolves so fast.
yeah. Facebook isn't the it girl anymore, really. I think it's Snapchat. Just like Gary Vee always says, like that. Oh, that's one thing I never understand by any stores.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. I don't understand why like these large stores such as Star City Games, Channel Fireball.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand why they don't utilize Snapchat.
I
So they
know it's
have these daily.
insanity. By the way, follow me
But,
right now. Are you on Craig Berry? Are you on Snapchat?
what?
Are you on Snapchat, Craig?
No.
Oh, you need to be
How
on.
hypocritical is how hypocritical is it for me to not?
I was gonna say go follow Craig Berry, this MTG
Here,
speculator on
you
Twitter
know
though.
what? Here, you know what? Follow Craig Berry MTG on Snapchat, and I will have a Snapchat made within the
Craig
next two
Berry
hours.
MTG. Follow me, Travis Debu. What do you say, Craig
All right.
Berry
So, yep,
MTG?
yep,
Um,
MTG. Assuming there isn't already a name for that, I assume there isn't.
there's no
If
chance
you
there's a
follow,
name for that.
if there, if you follow that, I will have a Snapchat made by the morning.
Travis
But
Debu, Craig Berry MTG. Go ahead.
awesome. So, like all these large
Mm-hmm.
retailers, the people who kind of run Magic. So you go on channelfireball.com.
Mm-hmm.
How often? All right. How often is a person on their phone on social media that plays Magic? Basically every
A
day,
hundred
right?
times a day, 200 times a day.
But that person doesn't always go to channelfireball.com.
Uh-huh.
So I don't understand why, like, when Channel Fireball has their daily sales or their 10% off for this, why they don't, why instead they don't
Uh-huh.
Snapchat out.
Um,
You take a shot
in their
and
particular
then
case, I don't know why, but it's the investor mentality in terms of social media. Like I,
yeah,
um, Snapchat, a lot of people think it's for kids, and that they don't realize that is not anymore. I
yeah, a
mean,
lot
if
of
you're
people
not on, now's the
feel
time to
felt
get
Facebook
on.
is for kids.
I was on
Yeah,
Snapchat 2 years ago, and it was still empty.
that's
And
so good.
I
Yeah,
just came back to it this year because it was time. And maybe I missed
yeah,
out, but I mean, like that's Gary Vee was on there. He's investing, right? He knew people would come.
yeah,
He's putting in. He's on other social medias that fail. He's on Musically and Vine and all this other stuff. And
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a Snapchat is like the 4 to 5 year plan, right? Um,
So he's the biggest Snapchat promoter in the world, and you have to like. Thing I like about him is his grind is it's so good.
hmm Yeah, okay. I want
Okay.
to keep this semi MTG market, although I think the
Oh, sorry
audience will
about
like
that. Yeah,
this.
yeah.
No, I think it's been great. All right, your story. I feel like we have any. Do you want to add anything to that? I want to get into like tips for someone starting out.
Sure, I can. If it's something people I think they would like, I can say the cards that I'm investing in somewhat long term.
Uh-huh. Sure, okay.
So I mentioned Gourmet Angler, which
Uh-huh.
if people don't want to buy into that, it makes sense. I'm also a big fan of cards on the modern ban list that could reasonably get unbanned. So like Thopter Foundry, people didn't think it was that reasonable to be unbanned,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, and I think that opened up doors for other cards. So a card like Punishing Fire, the cost is so low, the risk reward is definitely there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
30 cents or something. And if
Mm-hmm.
it gets unbanned, it'd be $7, $8.
Mm-hmm.
I think Green Sun Zenith is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I bought 100. One little thing. I bought 100 Green Sun Zenith,
Mm-hmm.
and then literally 3 days later, it was spoiled in Eternal Masters.
So that is one of
uh,
those where it didn't work out, but maybe your philosophy is it didn't work out
so
yet, right?
so honestly, I don't even think the reprint. I don't think reprints affect Magic cards anymore to some extent. It's as crazy as it sounds. So I wasn't too upset about it
Uh-huh.
because if they do, so the only way I make money on that card is if it gets unbanned,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think a reprint of that card
Sure,
affects its.
yeah. Uh-huh. It's not going to be good either way unless or until it gets unbanned.
Yeah, exactly.
Then whether it was reprinted or not, it's still going to be value.
Yeah, and the cards
Mm-hmm.
that I'm speculating on right now are Gangler,
Mm-hmm.
Harbinger cards. I think Harbinger of the Tides is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost every Merfolk deck plays four.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the other staples in the Merfolk decks, they're all
Mm-hmm.
like $6, $7. Harbinger of the
Mm-hmm.
Tides is like $1.48 right now, I think. Uh, Sliver Hive Lord, I think is just like it's so underpriced, it's unbelievable. That's
Mm-hmm.
like every casual player's dream. The
Yes.
thing that drives Magic prices is casual play. That's
Yeah,
the reason cards
EDH.
like yeah, it's
Doubling
the reason
season. Look at
cards like
doubling season.
Job.
That's not a
Yeah,
competitive
exactly.
card. Yeah.
Yeah, so like all these. So I think Sliver Hive Lord's a really good one. I'm big
Mm-hmm.
on. I think my favorite one right now is Sliver Hive Lord. I also like Sliver Hive,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a. which drives it a little bit down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think those are the big ones for now.
Okay. Here's a question. Say that there's someone, they're kind of interested in getting into the market. Maybe they have like a couple $100. They really have like very little bankroll. Maybe they don't even have any. But what would you say to that to
You
someone
can
like
scrounge
that?
up $20. All it takes
Uh-huh.
is $20.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
And then what? How do you like not you've never really lost big. So how does someone avoid that?
so I can I give I can give an example of how to make money. All right, so Strike Zone online,
Mm-hmm.
they historically pay very well on near mint foils.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay the best on eternal cards or they never buy foreign cards, but
Mm-hmm.
foils. So I don't do it as much anymore because uh, I don't think it's necessarily worth it for me. I value my time in speculating and other things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But during Star City Games sale, I think like a year and a half ago, they were selling foil Kaiga for
Mm-hmm.
$15,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on sale for $12. Well, it was on Strixon Online's buy list for $18.71. I
So
remember
there's
the number
lag
exactly.
time between certain online dealers.
Yeah,
So if
there's
you just
so
identify those, you can arbitrage it
yeah,
and that's foolproof,
uh,
right? Almost.
arbitrage is unbelievable. So I've actually uh, bought pieces of power. So High End Magic, the Facebook group, it
Mm-hmm.
used to be it's still good, but it used to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if I saw someone selling when my bankroll wasn't as strong and I was still getting back into it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I saw someone selling a Mox, say Mox Emerald, cheaper than I thought it should be,
Mm-hmm.
what I would do is I would copy and paste those pictures and put them in other Facebook groups, and ask for $50 more, $50 to $100 more than that person selling it. So I've had two
And then you would
situations.
connect the two people and
Yeah, so
or
I've
you
had
don't connect the people.
no, so I've had two
You
situations,
get the money from the first person and then give it to the second
and
and then
then
send the card.
I say, what's your address? He gives me his address,
Uh-huh.
and then when the guy asks what my address is, I just give him that address. So I never touch the card, and he
Well,
just shoots it. It was pretty sick.
that's insanity. I mean, that's the art of the deal right there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Arbitrage is insane. You can make a lot of money at Grand Prix doing it.
I
Um,
mean, the Japanese to US arbitrage is insane. Have you played with
oh,
foreign cards at all?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really big on international price
Mm-hmm.
discrepancies. So here's one. Uh, in 2000 and 2012, February of 2012,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, uh, Tesla Agent of Bolas was $12 in the
Mm-hmm.
US. And in Japan, it was $35. So you could literally buy them for retail and sell them to
You
Japanese
need a
dealers for
contact is the thing, though. A lot of
you
them
do need
don't
a
speak
contact.
English,
And that's
right? That's the
yeah,
difficult part.
that's where networking comes in big time. I think if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do this, you want to do this, you have to network very well.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, last February,
And by the
honestly,
way, I would recommend
yeah,
to anyone reading another good book on this. And this person, uh, I'm not sure who's more notorious right now, Martin Shkreli or Donald Trump, but his book, The Art of the Deal, is really good for stuff like this. I don't know if
it
you've read
is.
it, but
I have.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite good for
You can say what you want about the man, but
yeah, his book that book is good if you want to make deals.
yeah. So last February, oh no, I'm sorry, it was May Grand Prix Vegas time. Uh, Monster Mentor, I think was $14 in the
Mhm.
U.S. and it $34. It was like 3,400 yen
Mhm.
in Japan, which comes out like $31 or whatever.
Mhm.
So you could just once again you could just buy them here and ship them over there. And now it's even easier to sell cards overseas.
Mhm.
The thing is, a lot of people don't want to put in time and effort to find out those price discrepancies, even though they're very valuable.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The big thing about this is I can't express enough how rewarding it is to buy and sell if you just if you're willing to put the time in, and a lot
Also,
of people
by the
aren't
way,
willing.
this is really the non-evil element of it. A lot of people
Yeah,
see capitalism as just like many people have this Marxist view of capitalist where any kind of profit is exploitation. In the case of $15, $12 Tezzeret Agent of Bolus in the US and 35 in Japan, everyone is happy if you buy it for you pay extra to the American guy for
I'm buying it
15
for
and then you
retail.
sell you pay extra to retail and then sell it for low. Like everyone is happy. You're
Yeah,
happy, the
literally.
seller is happy, the buyer is happy, everyone is happy, right?
Yeah, as Gerard would say, everyone's a winner. So
Yeah, so I mean that's how to do it, right?
yeah, it's
One way
great,
to do
and
it.
I think too many people focus. I mean, it's really easy to like focus on all the bad on impression. You never. It's like when someone plays poker, you never hear about like you're like, how'd you do it? It's like, oh, I grind hard. I won $800 today. It's like
Hmm.
the next couple times you hear them, like, oh, I broke even, and then 6 months from then they're broke, because you never really hear about in Magic. I guess it's the opposite, because like you never really hear about the good. You only ever hear about the bad.
I know, that's why I want to interview you because
Yeah.
it's just so interesting to hear someone really doing it successfully over a
Thank you.
sustained period of time. And I think a lot
Thank
of
you.
people want to hear that.
Yeah, and like I don't just. I think a lot of people. So I was unaware of this, but apparently I bought out Library, Tabernacle, every single card, and I've only bought.
You're the seance guy.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not
I'm the
he's
Sans
he's not the seance guy, by the way.
guy. No, no, no. I also have 5,000 Black Lotus I bought when I was 2 years old. I mean,
Yeah. You
um,
inherited $400 million.
yeah. It's a rough life. um, the majority of my money made is just uh, speculating, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's not scummy of me to speculate. Arbitrage. I'm big on arbitrage. I purchase collections, although I don't really enjoy purchasing collections a lot
Mm-hmm.
though, because a lot of times it's like a friend of mine, and I try and pay them as much as I can, but I still need to make money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, people are happy too. It's like I want to get rid of my collection. You'll pay me this much. Awesome, right? I mean, I imagine that the not fun part of that is just like unsorting and unloading, you know. Um,
Yeah, yeah. A good way for people to start by making money is actually buying bulk. Bulk is one of the best
hmm
ways to make money. So you can do things like just pay like $1 more than the other people buying common uncommon bulk, and just try and memorize these buy lists, uh, and then just pick cards. So there's a lot of cards that people don't realize. Not right now, but in the past, like Well Wisher, you could buy list those for like 50 cents, and it's silly because it's only 50 cents.
hmm
But if you bought the card for less than half a penny, I mean, your margins are unbelievable.
Yes,
And it's not
it's
like with one card.
yeah. I mean, 50x is like if you bought into Facebook early, you
Yeah. Bulk is a really good way to make money for people first starting, and it doesn't take much capital.
know.
Um, the thing I actually don't ever touch is
hmm
standard cards.
hmm
Uh,
Why? That's fascinating.
yeah. So
Because you
I'm
like
big
long
on long.
term? Is that why?
Yeah, I like relatively long term, and also this. It's insane how fast things change in standard. Uh, you could buy a card one weekend for, I don't know, say a $10 card for six
hmm
dollars, and then the next weekend it could be worth $4. And I think that happens more in standard than any other format.
It makes sense. And also, even if it doesn't, you have a ticking time bomb where you pretty much need to get rid of it within a window.
Yeah.
You have to, right?
So the last time I bought standard cards was right before Battle for Zendikar came out,
hmm
and I was going through a giant box I have with like cards I bought, and I was like, oh, okay, sick. I found 8 Corsair Crucifix. I found 6 Sylvan Caryatid. I was like, oh, I paid $6 on Sylvan Caryatid. Now they're worth $2, just because I didn't move them fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. Options are good, right? When you
Yeah, it's
invest in standard, you don't have many options.
yep. And like you said, it's ticking time bomb. You only have so much time. If you invest in a card like, I mean, it's a lot of money, but Moat, it's very difficult to lose money because it's not going to rotate out of standard anytime soon. It's not going to get reprinted, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean reserve list is a cheat code. So I guess say
Yeah.
someone has like I don't know a grand or something like that. Would it make sense to buy reserve list stuff? You can't get that much, right? You can get 10 Tegas or
Uh,
something, you know, and then sit on them
yeah.
for 4 years. And I mean, is that you're not going to get the
No,
cash flow that way, right? What do
no.
you are
If
you
I had
supposed to diversify your portfolio? You like put 200 of that into reserved list and then like
yeah.
800
So
into modern or something?
if I only had $1,000 to spend, I would. Do I also have time?
That's the one thing I want to ask. Sure, you have the time.
All right, so time. If I have $1,000 to spend in time, what I would do is look at the buy list of the top 10 retailers I could think of. Um, and oh no, if I had $1,000 to spend, I would invest in a moto. It's something I
Oh
don't
man, I
do.
want to ask you about that. Yeah. Well, the thing about Moto is I don't know if there's Moto speculation bots. I'm sure there's people doing that, but
There's
you're
moto. It's
almost
really
always
good.
restricted to four at a time. It's so time consuming. That's I
Yeah.
never, I knew about Living End and I started to do that. I had a friend buy 100 copies, and it went from a penny to like $7. But it's just so much time. It's like I could be working, like I
Yeah, yeah.
mean that's my.
That's why I'm saying.
But if you had a bot to do that,
Or if you have the time to spend, like
yeah,
that's why I asked about
if
time.
you're a kid in high school or something,
Yeah, the moto is probably your best bet. Or buying bulk commons and uncommons and just hoping to get lucky. Because the nice thing is, like, if you buy 1,000 bulk commons and uncommons for $4, if you go through those cards and there's nothing worth money, you just sell them to someone else for $4. So the risk reward is it's so insane.
hmm. Okay, well, I think that is a lot to get started. Oh, the last thing I want to ask is you mentioned time, like the lifestyle, I mean, you spend a lot of hours. Like, what does it look like? What is it? I mean, if someone wants to get into this, what are they? I mean, what is it like?
So I spend more time than I should, I think, and I also don't value. It sounds weird to say because I value my investments, but I don't value my time per se. I value
Hmm.
my time, but um, I don't know how to explain it. Like I really enjoy what I do. I
That's
love it
good.
more than anything.
Uh-huh.
So the time I spend, I definitely make my return, but
Hmm.
money wise. But because I enjoy what I do so much, I don't mind spending countless hours on it. You know?
Hmm. Okay, so it can be fun and rewarding and lucrative.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's
so for one of you listening, this might be the thing, maybe.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And it can't hurt to try,
Hmm.
because at worst, say it's not, say you're not successful,
Hmm.
and you just have these cards you bought, modern cards, you can't sell them. You still have them, like they're still fun. It's
Uh-huh.
not like you purchase stocks, which have no the value that stocks have is money. The value that Magic cards have is enjoyment.
Yeah, you can still always play with the cards.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I don't
And
know if you can play with 1,000 rest in peace though.
no, you can't.
Versus a
You
thousand
might get.
Gurmag Angler.
It's pretty funny that I have both those because they kind of contradict each other.
Uh-huh.
So they're very good together.
Okay. Sweet. So I want to move on to the this hypothetical, which isn't so hypothetical. This
No, I
video is
think it's
going to
good.
go out soon because it's time sensitive. So, what if Martin Shkreli buys out Vintage? Now, you put up this video on YouTube that got some attention and like lots of thumbs downs, and you said, "Yo,
Oh,
there's people out there aside from dealers who have 100 or 200 grand. As far as I know, there's no one who has real big money,
pretty
10, 20
funny.
million,
That,
and then all of a sudden Martin Shkreli posts on Reddit and Twitter. Does anyone know like who can help me? Like I'm interested in getting invested in. If you those of you guys don't know Martin Shkreli, he's famous and infamous for speculating on
yeah.
pharmaceutical drugs like cancer treatment, and one of his investments paid off for him, but got him a lot of scrutiny because
And
some
so I
drug
actually
like
think a
10
lot.
or 20x in price or something crazy.
Yeah, so he I think a lot of people don't like him because they don't know the whole story.
I don't know the whole
Uh,
story, but I've heard that
so
there's more to it than the media projects, which
yeah,
obviously for anything is going to be the case.
so he purchased the company. I forget what it is, but the drug Darafrim. It was for AIDS treatment, and it's a drug that was 7 years old. It
Hmm.
was never innovated.
Hmm.
He priced the drug from 1350 to 700 some dollars. And the thing people really say like, oh well, how are any of these people supposed to afford it? It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a lot of people who are suffering of this illness can't afford it, and it's only I forget the whole situation, but it's only specific. It only sort it only tr- uh, treats a specific kind, and it doesn't even do the job very well. So what he did is he raised the price to put the money back into R&D, and the only people who are paying that $700 premium are the insurance companies.
Hmm.
The regular consumer. So if a regular consumer needs
Say
it,
I was on
he
that
will.
drug, what happened during that period? Is it
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not paying
So
300 times
so
more,
say, yeah. So say you don't have
500
insurance.
times? Whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Say you don't have insurance, and you are dying if you don't have this
Hmm.
drug. He would. I mean, at least allegedly. He does. He also seems like a pretty straight shooter.
Hmm.
He's not. He doesn't lie about it. um, what he would do is personally make sure you get the drug for $1 or the
Hmm.
1350 or whatever it
Hmm.
is for a very cheap price. The only
Hmm.
people he was taking of it was the insurance companies.
Hmm.
So
Okay, so there's more than meets the eye. He isn't necessarily pure evil. He's just a
no, no,
capitalist.
not
Did he even break the
yeah.
law? I mean, he was found innocent, right? Or is it still ongoing? He's just a capitalist,
Uh,
basically. And it
yeah,
sounds like
just
people didn't die because of him either. So,
no,
um,
no.
okay.
Not a single person has died.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, um,
So you said
you
what
know,
would
we
happen?
don't, well, yeah, we don't need to say that Martin Shkreli is good or bad. What's more interesting is
Doesn't matter.
he is a speculator with a lot of money, and he appears to, within the past couple hours, and this video is going to go out soon, turn his attention to Magic the Gathering. And I'm sure he's seen
Yeah,
your video. There's no way he hasn't. So,
yeah.
say
So
that
it's funny.
say he's gonna dump a bunch. What will happen? What could happen?
So Magic's been alive for what 23 years, and there's never been like a to my understanding like an angel investor. I wouldn't say he's an angel investor, but someone someone with that much money to come into the business. And I post the video saying that like someone with this money should come into it, and then 3 days later there's a tweet a tweet about him
I'm
doing
sure
it.
one of his friends plays Magic, IRL friends, and said, "Yo, check this
Yeah,
out. Like, here's an unregulated market."
he
Right?
streams League of Legends all the time and
Oh
like
yeah.
posts videos on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's a big fan. So if someone like him came into Magic, I think uh, it certainly wouldn't be good for Magic.
Okay.
That's no, maybe that's not true. Like, uh, it would definitely get more people talking
We already are.
about,
Yeah. Yes.
and I think it would get more people to start playing the game.
Uh-huh.
But it wouldn't
It
be good
wouldn't get
for
more
the
people into Legacy and Vintage.
absolutely not.
Yeah. But I mean, Martin Shkreli cannot ruin Standard, and he cannot ruin Modern either, because they can just reprint that stuff. What he can do is capitalize on the reserved list, right? So that is what we might see happen very soon,
The other thing
potentially.
that does that Wizards could do, the only investment the only reason that the only thing that makes me a little nervous about lines that I'm in moat is that Wizards is going to catch. I'm sure they already know what's going on, but they're going to say, "Hey, new format, legacy without the reserve list."
Uh-huh. And then the player demand goes. And then,
So then,
I mean, Black Lotus is still going up, and it's not in Legacy, right? Is that
so
Legacy's dying already? Is Legacy, if
uh,
Legacy dies, is it gonna totally devalue these cards?
I don't think it can. So I think everything would plummet, and then because Magic is ludicrous, everything would probably just be worth more than
Mm-hmm.
it was eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if someone like him came in, uh, say he bought out all the dual lands, I don't know the price. I haven't looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even come close, not
Mm-hmm.
even like remotely close, so it wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
really value. Um, uh, yeah, I who knows what would happen. That said, I think there's a lot more dual lands than people realize. Like I have a couple friends who have 500, 600, 700 dual lands that not many people realize. So
Well,
maybe they would come out. Maybe they would come out of the woodworks.
on the other hand, I feel like if someone has 700 of those, you personally will probably know them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's his name? Alpha Investing just came out of nowhere. This Bear Stearns guy who has got a massive, massive,
So
a massive,
his videos,
huh?
every single person I think watching should watch his videos. They're so good.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I'm a YouTuber. I have a YouTube envy. He started a
Yeah,
month ago and has 10,000 subs because
it's
he's, I mean, there's no one from Bear, like, he's a Bear Stearns guy doing magic
he's
investing
not.
videos. You know, he's
Yeah,
legit. He's
he's not
got,
exactly a dummy.
yeah, he's got you know, 300 boxes of Mirage behind him in his videos, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sipping all
Um,
fine bourbon on birch.
So that's kind of anticlimactic. If Martin Shkreli, he can't basically he can't even fuck things up that much. It's not a big. He won't affect standard players. He probably won't affect modern players.
He
Um,
also can't do things like buy cards on Facebook groups. So he can buy out the internet, but he can't buy all the cards on Facebook groups.
why not? Because it takes too long, or because people don't
Yeah,
like him,
but I
or it's
think
just not possible.
I just don't think it's possible. I don't think it's reasonable. Um, I also, yeah, so
What was
it's
the
such a weird
realistic
system.
move we would see? Is he goes to Star City and TCG and buys everything on the reserved list, everything.
Mhm.
That would be the realistic move.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, how do you move that?
What do you mean? Well,
How
you
do you
mean
get rid of that?
exactly. I mean, he's just considering it like I mean,
Yeah,
you actually said you were. I mean, you will probably be in touch with them. You haven't yet, but you will
no,
probably.
yeah, it sounds ridiculous. I think I'll probably. I only live 2 hours away.
Hmm.
I'd be surprised if I wasn't in touch with him over the weekend, which sounds pretty ridiculous. But I mean,
It's yeah, an hour, a day ago, definitely. It'd be like what? Um,
yeah, a
but
lot of things have changed in the last 48 hours. It's
uh-huh, yeah, 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 uh-huh. It's interesting
um,
watching things happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been really crazy. I posted this video about buying Lion's Eye Diamond on my Facebook to help out my friends. I've been posting buyout videos for a long
Hmm.
time, and it just exploded. I didn't want it. Honestly, I really wish it didn't. I wish
Privacy
I was
settings,
still.
bro. Set to friends only. Yeah.
I know. I
Well, good.
I really
I think a lot of
I,
good is
I
coming out of it, actually.
yeah, I hope so. I know a lot of people don't like me for what I do. I'm really not a bad person. In the end, my main goal is to have enough money to earn enough money to live a nice life, not have to worry about money, and to put my daughter through college. 8 years, just
That'd be insanity to do it just through like a one-man MTG
yeah. I don't think it's
market.
unreasonable if you grind or work hard enough.
I hope that it works
I
for you, man. I really do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So, but yeah, I'm not a horrible person. I do a lot to try and help out other people. Like even little things like there was this kid that posted uh November last November. There was a kid that posted in a Magic buy and sell trade group on Facebook, and like some of the people can be pretty harsh in those. Uh, and he was like, "Hey, I really want two of Johnny Goldmeans to play my friends with. I have these cards for trade." And he
Hmm.
posted like Emperor Crocodile, like a bunch of comments. And people were like, "Oh, none of your cards are worth money. You're never gonna get these cards. It's so stupid." So I just messaged him. I was like, "Hey, what's your address?" I just bought two online and shipped them to him because it's pretty screwed up that people would like degrade him like that when he's trying to get into Magic. So
Uh-huh.
I really hope that like by me spending like the $12 or $13
Uh-huh.
to give those two cards to him,
Uh-huh.
it'll make him just happy
Yeah.
or stay with.
And it sounds like maybe it's even good that people come at you like Craig Berry is evil because perhaps it puts a social pressure onto you to be like, nah, I'm actually not evil. I do these good things such as
Yeah,
this and that. And then,
yeah,
um,
exactly. And like I would never like say this stuff otherwise, but I kind of want to try and say it to like make you realize, hey, I'm
uh-huh,
not a scumbag.
I see. Well, you could play the super villain well as well if you chose to. You maybe don't, you don't have a choice with that on everyone, so,
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Oh, I could donate every single card I have to various people, and they just like, well, he's still a scumbag. He bought them up to begin with.
hmm.
There's always gonna be people that hate that have vendettas against people, no matter what. So
People want
I
something
really
to
don't.
complain about, but I hope that
Yeah,
everyone listening found this interesting. Craig's story is great, I think, and I hopefully if you're into business or money at all, you found some of this helpful. I know I did. And it will be really interesting to see what happens with buyouts, see if some wealthy investors come in. And it sounds like it won't affect most of us in Magic, and it might even be really good for us.
yeah,
If you're, we're hoping to like buy into Legacy, you might want to make that move within the next 2 days. And I think that we'll see like a massive market reaction that might come down. Um,
even if cards don't get bought out, I think because of all the hype and I
exactly.
mean it's pretty scary. The cards are going to go up regardless.
Yeah, so we might see this, and then maybe this, and then maybe that again within the
Yep.
next couple weeks.
So figure out when to buy here.
I, for one, will not be buying. So, um,
I probably
um,
won't be either.
okay, okay. So, if Craig, how can people follow you?
Uh, I'm most prevalent on Facebook. I don't really use Twitter. I'm not very well versed in it. I never
Mm-hmm.
touch Reddit. I
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think Reddit is more cancerous than it is positive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Facebook is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I post a lot of things on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start using Snapchat 100%.
Craig Berry,
Uh,
MTG.
for MTG starting tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, those just mostly Facebook and I guess Snapchat now. Whenever there's a pro tour, uh, I follow very close to coverage, and as soon as I see a keyword, so like during the pro tour or during World Championship a year and a half ago, someone says Sam Black is playing Fate Stitcher, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Josh Arterton is
Mm-hmm.
Fate Stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought every foil when I could, and then after I bought that, I posted on Facebook, "Hey, you guys should buy out foils to Fate Stitchers," and then it became like $12.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do a lot of times after pro tours, if a card I think is doing well,
Mm-hmm.
I did it with Seasons Pass,
Mm-hmm.
Protector.
Uh-huh. So
I
basically,
posted Facebook.
people are going to be wanting to follow your that if you were
Sure.
a speculator, and then perhaps you mentioned that you don't want to give the edge to everyone necessarily, so maybe
Yeah.
maybe you'll get inside scoop on Snapchat. So if you're,
Yes.
I
Oh, that's definitely true. That's a good point.
I imagine that's how you would use it, and if you want an
Yep.
edge,
Yep.
that seems
Exactly.
smart.
Exactly.
All right, man. Awesome
And like,
conversation.
yeah,
Sorry to
it was really great talking to you.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, I was gonna say like really quick, like obviously, like I'm gonna uh mention something to like my close friends first. Like my
Mm-hmm.
friend Will McGran, he's my best
Mm-hmm.
friend in the world. Uh, we basically just share money,
Mm-hmm.
information, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's like, any cards, so.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I contact my really good friends, social media will
And
be
it's good for
afterwards.
you too because it lifts your investments or saves you
Yeah,
the
exactly,
time from
exactly.
going on eBay and doing every transaction, right?
Yeah.
You could do
Yeah,
that if you
literally
wanted, right?
everyone. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's a winner in most cases.
It's crazy. Yeah, well,
Yep.
leave your comments below and questions. If something crazy happens, maybe we'll do a follow-up at some, or I mean,
Yeah,
maybe we
yeah,
don't,
sure.
maybe we do.
If something absurd happens, maybe over Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Hopefully, nothing too.
we'll all live through it. So, thanks for listening, and I'm excited to see what you think in the comments.